Okay, today we're going to talk about Arab science. And despite all modern stereotypes of the Arabs, they actually invented many things we still find useful in modern society. So, in the Dark Ages of Europe, but also the Gold Age of Islam, there were a lot of scientists who are not famous, but but invented a lot of interesting inventions. So one of them is Al Jazari. So Al Jazari was born in 1136 and died in 1206. He's a scholar, inventor, and a mechanical engineer. So I'm going to talk about I'm going to talk about some of his interesting inventions. So the first one is called the elephant clock. So the elephant clock is a timing machine based on an Asian elephant. So here's the pictures of it. So there is a bucket inside of the elephant, and a bowl is floating on the water in the bucket, and there's a small hole on the bottom of the bowl, and it takes half an hour to sink down to the bottom of the bucket, and the ball will pull a string if it sinks down, and the string will pull a ball down, and the ball will drop into the mouth of the snake, and the snake will shake. So as long as the snake shake its body, the guy in the front will know that half an hour has passed. Then he will hit the drum to tell everyone that half an hour has passed. All right, and his another invention is called Cindy wheel. So Cindy wheel is several gears connected by those rocks and driven by water. It's still useful today in many fields. And one thing is interesting is that there is an animal here and here. El Jazari thought that the animal has the magic to drive the water, but actually the animal means nothing.
So Al Jazeera also invented two different types of pumps. The first one was called the crank scoop, and the second one was called the double cylinder reciprocated pump. Right here is the crank scoop, and that was like the more basic, like simple design. Two gears would spin against each other and cause this long, it was just like a stick with a spoon on the end to cause it to dip down into the water and then bring it back up to where a person could actually get it. And just like in the inventions Ryan talked about, there's an animal right here that he thought like provided magic so the pump would actually work, but it actually didn't really do anything. And then right here is a double cylinder reciprocated pump, and this was actually converted from the crank scoop, and it pumped water from the ground using suction. And suction pumps like this one are actually still used today. And the last thing, these two pumps were actually invented by him the year that he died, 1206.
So the video Ileana and I watched, it was on the various inventions created in the Dark Ages. And although a lot of people think nothing went on in those times, a lot did. One of those inventions being the mechanical clock. These mechanical clocks were invented by a monk and a mathematician, and his name was I-H Singh. And these were large weight-driven machines fitted into towers, and today they're known as turret clocks. These clocks struck only hours, and they didn't have a dial or hand. And the oldest mechanical clock still around today is located in England in the Salisbury Cathedral, and that dates back to 1386, and that's a picture of it.
Another invention that was invented in the Dark Ages was the hourglass. It was invented in the 8th century by a French monk named Louis-Brand. This is an important invention because it's a good way to tell time or to time things, and they're still used today, for example, in board games.
So another invention created in the Dark Ages was the printing press. And the printing press was created by Johannes Gutenberg in the year 1440. It first appeared in China, but it was in Europe where it became mechanized. The invention itself owed much to the medieval paper press. So the printing press was made of a long handle that was used to turn a heavy wooden screw, exerting downward pressure against the paper. And this was laid over the type mounted onto a wooden platen. And the wooden press resigned supreme for more than 300 years, with a hardly varying rate of 250 sheets per hour on one side.
The spinning wheel was invented in India in the 13th century according to the Irfan Habib. It turned animal fibers into thread and yarn. It was unknown who specifically invented it, but this invention was great because it saved almost half the work of hand spinning, and the thread and yarn was used for making things such as clothes.